схема такая тупая здесь вообще. Я умный, она наоборот. Да. Чего она не функционирует-то? Жень. Идите, туди ее. Жень. Заткнись. Не надо, да неужели? Да неужто?
After, and I'm going to give it a random spot in the window, and I'm going to, in draw, I'm going to make my food a nice, like purple or pink color. I'm going to draw food.x, food.y, and I'm going to make it the same size. And now we can run it. We can see, oh, there's my food. I want to come and get my food. Now it's not exactly on the grid, so I should probably deal. Let's make this correct. So what I actually want to do in terms of its location is I'm going to make a function that called pick location. And what that function is going to do is, first we need to know what are the number of columns. So it's the width of the window, divided by that scale, and then the number of rows, the height of the window divided by scale, and then now I want to create a piece of food that is a random column and a random row, and I also want to use floor with both of these. Oh boy. This is getting to be a very long line of code here. But so what did I just do? I wrote a function that picks a location because I wanted to be only one of these spots in the grid. So I have to divide. This is spot 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, 2. So I need to divide by how big that scale is by the width to pick one of those integers. And then I actually need its actual location. I want to multiply it by that scale to expand it back out. So, and the floor function is everywhere just because I need these things to be whole numbers for this to work well. So now, you see, this should, the food, well, that didn't seem to work. Are we sure I did that correctly? Oh, that's right. It's a little bit off. Maybe I'm not going to worry about that right now. Somebody will,
okay.
Somebody will correct me.
Жень.
It's close enough. I'll fix that later.
Жень.
We have 4 minutes left.
Не
So
думай, не
what I want to do
свет.
now is figure out, I want to write a function s dot eat the food. I want to do something. I expanded myself by 5 minutes today. Clearly that's not enough time. I want the snake to eat the food. So in the snake object, I need to add another function called eat. Technical difficulties, but I'm back. And what I'm doing right now is I'm writing the function where the snake eats the food. So I need to check if the snake is at the same location of the food. And okay, actually, while I was having technical difficulties, I realized I'm missing something important, which is we have this whole pick location function, but I didn't actually call it up here. I need the food's location to be at this thing that I spent all this time doing to make sure it's on the grid. So now that should solve that problem where the food is perfectly aligned on the grid with the snake. But let's go back to where we were, snake.eat location. So in the snake object, this means I need to write a function called eat. And this function is going to receive a position, a vector for where that food is. And I could check. check if they're in exactly the same space, but I'm pretty sure that if I just use the distance between like where the snake actually is, x and y, to the where the food is, x and y, and if I just check that, I need to add another function called like 1 pixel. I should probably check 2 pixels or 3.
Дети учат английский быстрее, чем взрослые.
Нет,
Прежде чем начать говорить, нужно выучить всю грамматику.
нет.
За- Дети учат английский быстрее, чем взрослые.
Floor with both of these? Oh boy. Now, this is getting to be a very long line of code here. But, so what did I just do? I wrote a function that picks a location because I want it to be only one of these spots in the grid. So I have to divide, this is spot 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, 2. So I need to divide by how big that's. And then I actually need its actual location. I want to multiply it by that scale to expand it back out. So, and the floor function is everywhere just because I need these things to be whole numbers for this to work well. So now, you can see, this should, the food, well, that didn't seem to work. Are we sure? Are we sure I did that correctly? Oh, that's right. It's a little bit off. I'm not going to worry about that right now. Somebody will correct this later. It's 3 pixels, but whatever. I'm going to say return true. In other words, I want this function to tell me whether or not the snake reached the food. And if it's true, what do I want to do with this information? So I'm going to come back here, and I want to say, oops, if the snake eats the food, then I want to, what? Pick a new location. Oh, you know what? I realized it's not food does not equal pick location. This function I wrote just sets the location for that food itself. So I can just call pick location again. It's not returning anything. Boy, my mind is getting fuzzy towards the end of these videos. There's only 2 minutes left. Well, let's see. I think we're going to be really close now. So now we should see. I'm going to move. Come on, be on the grid. Look at that. It's right on the grid, and I can eat that piece of food, and it'll go somewhere new. Oh, this is fun to play. I don't have time to play this right now. I gotta keep moving. Okay, so what do I need to do? If it gets the food, it needs to become longer. How do I keep track of a snake that has a length to it? Well, I need some sort of array, some sort of variable to keep track of how long is that snake. So let's go back to the code. We gotta go back to the snake object, and let's add something called this.total. And that equals 1, because the snake, and you know what? I'm going to do something a little bit goofy, which is that I'm going to keep the x and the y as the current location, and the array that I'm going to store, the length of that array is just its history. So at first it's 0, because it only has its current location and the rest of it. This is actually going to be useful later, I just realized. And I'm going to make another variable called tail, which is going to be an array. So one thing for sure is, if it eats the food, total should go up by 1. So total should go up by 1. Now, as it moves, I want to have a loop. What goes in this loop? Well, I definitely want to loop through that total. And actually, I want to do all of this right before it moves. Oh boy, I kind of need to work this out. I only have 38 seconds, but I need to work this out a little bit in my head here. So if this is the array, and this is the snake's current location, maybe what I want is to put its current location in the last spot and shift everything down, the history down. So this is where it was 4 moments ago, 3 moments ago, 2 moments ago, 1 moment ago. That'll do. So the first thing I need to do in this array is shift all the spots. So I really actually want to loop through total minus 1, and I want to say tail index I equals tail index I plus 1. That's going to do, now I'm sure my time has expired now. We're going to see how long this takes. I'm going to just click a little window here, and then hit OK. It stops at 1 second, and it's going to say time expired. And you know what? Yeah, no, let's leave that there. We'll see, well, you'll see how long this video is, and that's how long it took. Okay, so this is going to shift everything over by 1. And then when I'm done, I want the very last spot, which is tail total minus 1, to equal create vector this dot x, this dot y. So this now allows, that's its current location, and then it can move. And so now, when I'm drawing it, in addition to drawing the rectangle at its current location, I need to also say, draw all the rectangle, draw its tail. So I want a rectangle at tail index I. Oh, and I realized I've made a classic JavaScript error. Classic JavaScript error. I've got this thing called tail, which is really important, but it's this dot tail. Tail is part of the snake. So everywhere I put tail, I forgot this dot tail. This happens to me all the time. This is like the bane of my existence. Oh, it's this dot total also. Oh boy. So I think I'm looking around, this dot tail, this dot tail, this dot tail, this dot total, this dot total. I should just have a big blinking sign in front of me that just says this dot, this dot, this dot. Okay, let's run this and see if this works now. Hit refresh. I don't know, I'm sure I missed something. And come on, eat that food. Total is not defined on line 12. So there's a place that I forgot it. Line 12, this dot total plus plus. Let's hope we didn't miss. Okay, I'm trying to look at the camera to make eye contact with you. Oh, look at that. The snake is, cannot read property X of undefined. Snake.js42. Okay, it extended by 1, but how come when it extended by 2 it didn't work? Line 42, line 42. This seems totally reasonable to me. So what happened? This show is always happening. Okay, let's think about what order all this stuff is happening. Maybe that's the issue. Oh boy, this is bad. Okay, we're gonna. This fine. This video is gonna be a little bit long because I'm gonna debug this now. Back again. A little bit of splicing and dicing here, but I'm going from where I want to add bits. I want to add the tail of the snake. So when the snake eats the food, the total goes up. Total is keeping track of how many bits of history of the snake's length do we have left. So I know what I want to do is anytime this dot total does not anytime. So okay, one thing I need to do is I always need to shift, and I actually have a diagram. Let me just add this in here. Okay, what I need to do here is I always need to shift the tail down. I need to shift everything down in the history. So I'm going to say this dot tail index I equals this dot tail index I plus 1. This is going to shift the spots down as the snake moves. All of its spots shift down so I can get the new spot in the end of the array, right? Because what I want is to then say this dot tail index total minus 1 equals the new location. So I have this array that always shifts down, and I have this array that always shifts everything back, and then the new spot goes in the end. So let me explain to you what I mean. I actually have this diagram for my technical difficulty part, but I'm over here now. Oops. Boy, everything is falling apart today. Come on over here, button. So in other words, I have this array. Let's just imagine for a second that this is the history of where the snake has been. So the new location is going to go in the end, and all the other spots will shift down, and the oldest location will be deleted. So this is what I'm doing here. Now, if however the snake has eaten a piece of food, it should actually get bigger, and the new location should go over here. So if you think about this, what I'm saying is there's two different possibilities. If this dot total equals this dot tail dot length, meaning no food has been eaten, so the total is the same as the existing array length, then just shift everything over. And give me my last spot. Otherwise, only put the new spot in and I don't need to shift. So in that sense,